I mean, the Second Amendment is one of the amendments. It's probably the one amendment that most Americans know. And there's a reason why there was a Second Amendment. I mean, people forget. It was the basis for forming militias. You know, the Third Amendment, you can't house them, right? But it's also the basis for ensuring the government couldn't just take over. I mean, that was one of the things. See, people forget we had a violent American Revolution, and one of the things that the British Crown did is they sent agents. They had agents just showing up to take stuff away from you with a piece of paper, right? And then they could use the force, if you resisted. So that's the fundamental basis of the Second Amendment. You know, I'm all for certain kinds of regulations. I'm all for certain kinds of weapons not being in the hands of the citizens. I am. But I think the pernicious thing that I'm sensing is that they're going to use that to know. See, there's a dark side to regulation. The dark side is they know who has the weapons. I'll give you the personal example. You want the personal example? The FBI came to my house with a search warrant. I first asked for their identity, so to prove that they were actually agents of the government, right? And they had an Article 3 warrant, in which probable cause was sufficient enough for a magistrate judge to issue approval for the warrant. So I'm served with the warrant. Did you know, right in the space before I read my rights, they actually asked me, did I have any weapons in the house? Then they asked me, did I have any knives on me, my person? Now, what does that tell you? They assumed that. What does that tell you? Because and look what happened to Bill Binney. Bill Binney was, when they came into his bathroom when he was actually taking a shower and had a gun pointed right between his eyes, and he had weapons in the house. They assumed that he could take up arms against them. What does that tell you? And yet they're displaying their arms. And it was an amendment that was added after the first, okay? And remember, those amendments were added after the Constitution had been ratified. They went back out to the states to ratify the first 10 amendments because people were really concerned that a central government, even though it was supposed to be severely constrained by the Constitution, those enumerated, powers, that they would get out of hand and they would actually violate the sovereignty of not just individuals but the states. Remember, all the other rights and freedoms and liberties are granted in those amendments to the state, and then every other thing left is the people. That's far more than what the government could actually, how they could actually legally violate you, right? So, and even their powers were constrained. What happened after 9/11 is the government unchained itself from the Constitution. They became an alien form of government for all intents and purposes. So the hollow shell of the Constitution, they just wrap themselves in it, right? Under the other blanket that's suffocating it called national security.